Hello, Hector Sage here on the Sage channel, and apparently this is what we're supposed to do now. Have your character standing in front of a big shiny building. Anyway, Space Engineers recently just released some DLC. That's right, this isn't a joke, it's not an April 1st thing. Space Engineers, which recently left early access, released some DLC. And it's actually quite a few things we've been asking for a while, but they're arguing that if they didn't sell it as DLC, they could not continue production. Anyhow, it's kind of a moot point because it's nice and cheap. I mean, it's like $3.99, it's under $5. It's less than most microtransactions from EA games, for the love of the Lord. I think we can get them some credit for actually pricing DLC at a reasonable price. So, let's go ahead and turn around and look at some of the DLC stuff. Things on the left are not DLC. People have been poking me and saying, hey, they kind of took your design. No, they didn't. I just want to go over that quickly. These are my industrial cockpits and more mod cockpits. They are rather nice, I think, but, you know, they're based off of usual industrial machinery cockpits. You know, where you sit, you work big machines. The only thing truly unique about these is the control system I got inside. The only other place that I pulled inspiration from this is from bunches and bunches of artists who build cool things like this all the time. So, when the devs put this out, this beautiful damn thing, I'm not the least bit annoyed because they just pulled inspiration from the same stuff, especially from what looks like farm equipment. It's awesome, and there's no harm in that at all. The only thing I did wasn't inspire them to build this, it was maybe be one of many who built cockpits to push them and say, hey, give us something more robust and industrial and less fighter, or whatever the hell the default cockpit is. Anyway, these cockpits are pretty awesome. I'll go into Spectator. It's a little bit easier to take a look at things while in Spectator, and we'll back off our character too, so he's not highlighting the thing the whole time. And we'll take a quick looksy-looks at this beautiful piece of cockpit. Now, my one and only complaint about this DLC is that if you join somebody else's world and they have the DLC, while you'll still be able to look around and see the stuff, you won't be able to place and build it. I'm kind of alright with that. But you won't be able to interact with it either. Absolutely should be able to still interact with it even if you don't have the DLC and you're on somebody else's server. You should still be able to hop into it. Anyhow, it is a beautiful model, very well done, and as opposed to mine, which are pretty much just one tiling texture, you can see they have a lot of line breakup and lots of little details shoved all over this thing. It has a fair amount of fidelity and is, well, rather beautiful. I'm not going to get into an extremely close look or anything nonsensical like that. Just take note that it is a beautiful thing, and I particularly love all these little running bars. Even if these little nuts or whatever they're supposed to be rivets look like their normals are a bit funky, it's overall a very nice piece of geometry and texture work. I quite like it. And then of course this is the small ship version we've been looking at. There is a big ship version here for all of your carbine harvester fun times that you'd like to have. And you can see inside, you can ignore that pink because when you get in it, usually that goes away. There we go. So you can see also the control system's pretty cool. The way it has your hands there at your sides. A bit straight, but looks like it might actually hurt your elbow. But yeah, it's pretty groovy. My only complaint about the large version would be simply the fact that, well, it's got an access point on the back. A really nice looking door, actually. I love the way this door looks, especially its lovely little window and the fact that it's got sort of semi-hard or slightly curved corners there and then a completely rounded one there. Beautiful piece of work. But what bugs me is just the fact that the only access port then is on the top, which means in this you can look up and get beautiful field of views in pretty much every direction. I'd say it's as well as any of my dinky little cockpits I ever modded in. And then in this one, you get downward view. That's it. That's it. You can't look up. Now, of course, if you've not been paying attention to Space Engineers, when it released from early access and all that, I think they did some changes to some of their screen stuff. I believe they might have even brought some more over now. So all these screens that say offline, that's not a mod, that's just in the cockpits now. It's in all the cockpits now. In fact, if we were to go ahead and really quickly drop these in, you'll be able to see that all the cockpits now have these little heads-up displays that pop up in them all. So those are pretty awesome actually once we get flying, which I shall now demonstrate. Just in case you've not seen this before, I think it's awesome, and I can't tell exactly if it's new with this DLC or if it came before. I've been busy with another game called Satisfactory, which is clearly inspired by color scheme. Anyway, you can see the screens automatically, without me doing any setups at all, have all this stuff up there. Tell you your power usage, tells you your amount of hydrogen remaining, which of course I'm in creative, so that never goes down, and shows you your speed, as well as the gravity in the area, which is all very, very cool. And if we look down, we have an altimeter thing here, so we can actually go ahead and fly by that if we pleased, which is really, really damn cool. And really quickly, in case you want to see the other cockpits, I'll just buzz down and stick those in really quick so you can see what all those look like as well. So here we go with the standard dinky old cockpit, and sure enough, same stuff here. Yeah, pretty much all the same stuff. I think there's one thing missing. We still got our altimeter, our gravity, and our good stuff. We don't have a speedometer in this one apparently. Unless we look up and there's, nope, nothing else fun in there. But it gets the job done, does it not? Let's take a look at the next one up, the Fighter Cockpit Fun Times, which I parked over there and then promptly forgot where I parked it. Boop. And you can see that one does give us the whole 9 yards. It apparently also has a clock interface, which I don't think that actually does anything at the moment. But yes, a little hard to see even though I would argue with these. But hey, it still gets all the information across. Yeah, it doesn't appear to be showing speed actually. They might change that. Anyway, that's the changes for cockpits. I'm pretty sure you don't need a DLC for that. I'm pretty sure that just released. Anyhow, let's hop out of this nonsense and look at more of the DLC. By the way, I kept carrying on with that. Something I didn't fully appreciate for a while is they've changed it so when you hop out of a vehicle, you stay linked to it. Your inertial dampers sort of keep up with its speed. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, the next thing with this DLC, and slightly less important, but actually something I've been asking for eons, is the actual decorative blocks. I'd argue that cockpit probably should have been in vanilla, and maybe this too, but I can see why they'd slice it off as DLC, because this stuff is awesome. And not necessarily the main drive of a lot of stuff. I don't know. I wish it wasn't DLC, but it is. Like I said, the price makes it really hard to complain when EA charges $5 for a skin somewhere. Anyway, as you can see, they've added quite a few things. Everything new is in a shiny orange here. And you can actually hop into any of these seats. You'll take a nice little sit down on them. They're very, very nicely done. These are all locker things for storage. Unfortunately, each big old block counts as one, even though it has different interaction areas. If I was to go ahead and drop my welder in that, and then access that little box, it's still there. But the model itself is absolutely beautiful, and I love the way it looks. If we were to actually show you how all this stuff is placed, I can go ahead and change my hotbar over, and just show you some of the new stuff is like the happy little tiny mini jab, which is the best friend ever, and if you look at the base there, it has a lovely little kick rest that if we were to actually go ahead and walk up to and use, you'll see that your feet actually go up to it. It's a lovely little thing, and a lot of detail in all the joints and stuff down there. Even though none of it moves, it's just a nice little bit of detail to it. And of course, if we mouse scroll wheel, we'll get the proper desk, which is how we then build like those big displays very simply by sticking it all together, right? Simple like. It's pretty nice. Then we also have a few other things. I'll show you some more of it properly displayed in a minute, but just out here in our test area, I can show you the lovely little greenery displays. Go ahead and stick a bunch of those in. And these are also quite lovely in the fact that, well, for one, they actually have a very nice design. I really like them, the clear areas and all the little tubing in there to feed everything and the lighting. And of course, I did my usual fly my view around and look for geometry issues and stuff, and most of these models are just wonderfully done. Wonderfully done. Like even stick your head in here, it's quite nice. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. And they add so much variety to, well, a game that has really lacked interior design. So I'm glad they've added it, even if it is DLC. Next up, kitchen. Everybody likes a kitchen, right? You get your food. And again, quite a nice model. You can see some weirdness going on, but no idea what that is. Overall, though, a great model, and one of the best things about this and the desks, and a lot of this stuff really, is they have a very similar size, which means you can go ahead and, excuse me, I'm in the way. There we go. Stick a lot of them right next to each other, and they sort of have this running countertop feel, where they're not sticking out more or less than each other for the most part, which allows you to build some really nice streamlined structures. Really quite nice. This, by the way, doesn't have any function, and same with this, as opposed to the ability to at least sit down. They're just for looks, and they're pretty cool. That needs a recycle symbol. Anyway, next up, what do we have but a couch? Yep, it's a couch. It's a nice couch. Not the worst couch, not the best couch, just a nice couch. And yeah, you can sit on it. Pretty damn sure only one person can sit on it at the moment, which you might say is a bit of a shame, and I might agree with that. But, hey, it's a couch. It works, doesn't it? And at least you can make your areas look like there's something, and it's keeping up that sort of nice art style that they've brought with this pack. I think, honestly, they should probably go back through and look at some of their doors and stuff, and maybe give it a little nice update pass. Next up, we have something I've complained about quite a few times, and that would be a toilet. Boop. I've really complained about this a lot because I like to put bathrooms and beds and stuff in my designs. Sometimes I'll just leave rooms empty and say, this is where that will go. But it's never there. Now, you can actually have yourself a lovely little toilet. Let's go to spectator mode so we can actually see that. Ta-da! There you go. No dignity at all. No dignity at all. And it's even got a nice little mirror and a wash your hands thing. And of course, it all appears to be designed as if it was to function in zero gravity. Now, if you don't want a whole room for it, though, don't feel bad. There is a nice little thing you can do with your scroll wheel, which will just allow you to plop the toilet down on its lonesome. And again, I've taken a quick look at the models. Not many issues with these, except for right here. If we were to go ahead and stick our noggin up to that, you'll notice the stretchy textures, and it's tiling too much on either side here. But besides that, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Absolutely gorgeous little toilet. Anyway, moving on from that, we have those lockers I already showed you in the other room, which for some reason they have high voltage on the back of them. Very dangerous lockers, apparently. These things are quite beautiful. There's nothing modeled behind most of these doors except for the ones with glass, because they don't actually open. It would be pointless, so it's actually quite a good model in that way. And overall, quite a beautiful little thing, I'd say. I quite like it, actually. I can see myself using these a bunch just to, like, build out rooms. I do hope they either come out with more DLC or ideally add it to the base game, where you could go ahead and have a block that looks similar to this but has zero functionality, so you can just have interior walls to your structures and stuff, and they'll be this awesome, badass stuff. And put compound blocks in so you can just push them together. Now, because we don't have compound blocks, you might end up using this piece right here. A lovely little thing called an Armory. Again, it matches in with this wonderfully because you can see they have this sort of support beam design. So that anything pops next to it, it just doubles up the support beams, and it looks like it's always been meant to be, well, for the most part. Yeah, double up the support beams there. It's a great little thing though. Yeah, that doubled up. Brr. I absolutely love it. It's kind of crazy to see a bunch of guns. I do wish maybe it would, act differently if you saw suit pieces. And again, I do wish suit pieces had not been skins to buy or sell, but actually things you would get in-game and progress through, because then you could actually put them into this and they'd show up on display similar to items in Medieval Engineers. I think that'd be quite awesome. And I do find it funny that they have these little handle pull-downs here, just like this as if it was open. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's simple, it's cool, it's nice, and there's a button panel too, for the heck of it. And that allows us indeed to go ahead and make some pretty interesting things. If we were to go ahead and plop that around, we'll plop you there, plop you there, you here, and, oops, actually, you know what, screw it, yeah, we'll do it like that. This, and then I think over to the restroom there, grab one of you, ta-da, magic. And you've now built a slightly interesting locker room place. In fact, we could go ahead and plop these in here. And I'd say it's a fairly interesting locker room place. Now, fortunately, another thing I'd really like is a door that's literally offset like the everything here is, where it's not in the center of the block. That way you could have a door that would match with this. I really am hoping that they come out with another pack, or ideally just add it to the base game, where you'll be able to build walls like this without function, and then have a door that matches this art style, so you can have everything flow quite easily together. And again, if it's at the same price and it is sold as DLC, I won't really complain, considering, well, again, I have to look at the other games on the market which decide that a single skin is worth $5. I think a bunch of different blocks kind of is worth it. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Back to the Armory thing we just been messing with, actually, because we can mouse scroll wheel it, and it gives you the sealed in version again. Again, I think it would be nice if maybe we just had a wall like this, is something we could plop down in the ceiling, and maybe some compound block fun. But you can see it's the same exact thing, just sealed off a little bit more. I mean, heck, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, you could go ahead and lock yourself in the tiniest little room in the galaxy. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it's been done. Help. No idea why you'd want to do that, actually. Hell, you could really make it weird and like, okay, this is your prison cell forever now. Congratulations, you have a toilet. Ta-da. Magic has been done, and magic smells really bad. I do also kind of wish that those lights would actually illuminate it a tiny bit, but that's asking a lot, I suspect. Anyway, let's pop ourselves out of that. Not yet last, and not yet least. This guy, holographic table. It's basically a projector with a funny little cool thing look to it. Again, I have found a small art issue on it that I shall just report right now. And that's just simply like right here. There's some stretchy textures. That's it. That's the only thing. Other than that, it is a well, there is a world hole right there as well. Besides that, though, it is a lovely little thing like the rest of them. I love what they're doing with all these panel gap and panel breakup bits and all the little bolts and everything. Even if it all is all just still covered in paint, metallic-ish paint, but mainly paint, it's a beautiful thing. And that's actually modeled in. Woo! It's pretty cool. And if you want to see it in action, I'll really quickly say, hey, how you doing? Let's go to blueprints. Let's click on a big old thing that might crash my game and double click it, copy to clipboard. Does that work? There we go. I think it took it that time. There we go. And so there's my big old huge monstrosity ship that nobody viewed a video on. And I can actually go ahead and say horizontal movement, vertical movement, pitchy pitches. Oh, that's not what I want. Yas, there we go. Okay, now we do the vertical offset again. Bring it down to the holographic. And I don't think we can set it to spin. LCD panels, apparently you can set the different things, but I'm not really seeing them change. I'm assuming that's like the side ones or maybe this big display one. But yeah, content, text and images. There we go. So yeah, I don't know. There's a little bit more to it and I cannot be bothered with much. It looks like we can input your own textures and whatnot into this. Yeah, add selection, ta-da. It's basically LCD screens, so you can do change intervals and have texture lists and all that good fun stuff. Yeah, there's actually some effort that's gone into that. And then of course you get your big, shiny, beautiful hologram on display, so you can actually have stuff on display all over the place without having to fiddle with putting it in an actual projector or whatnot. Alright, now last but not least is this fellow here, which makes a beautiful new passageway. Look at it go! God damn, is that ever an awesome passageway. I mean, look, you can got skylights on the ceiling, beautiful, awesome details on both the side walls here. Great stuff. It's basically the opposite of what people do with passageways, because so many people take a passageway, turn it on its side, and call it a bed. Well, the developers finally added a bed. That's what this is, and clearly they've been seeing what everybody's doing and decided, you know what, that works. So they put that in there. So you can actually hop in a lovely little bed now and take a nappy poos. If I can find my character, Jesus Christ. There we go, so you can see nappy poos napping away, having a good old time, relaxing. Maybe not relaxing. Who sleeps like holding the things? But you can see they did think it through, as in the idea that there are all these moving parts. So in 0G, you would, in theory, still be held down somewhat. And again, it's a fairly nice model. I like this, like, different layers of stuff, even if it's a bit crazy that they clearly have piping and something. And this acts like a cryopod if you log off and the ambient air and stuff around you has breathable nonsense. You won't die. You'll be fine. You'll be good to go while you're logged off. Pretty damn awesome, I think. And of course, like I did say, I do think it works wonderfully as a passageway duplicate because, I mean, oops, let's put it in like that. Look at it. Isn't that the coolest damn passageway you've ever seen? Like the little curvity bits, so much better than this old model, which clearly needs a rework. So I'd hope that they're thinking about going ahead and reworking this to make it look more like this. I mean, heck, all they'd really have to do is delete the bed portion and just make it go straight down. Ta-da. And I love the skylight bits too. It's beautiful. Hopefully we're going to see more stuff for interior walls and stuff in the future. Anyhow, moving on from that, let's actually run back through here, my little security room. Maybe I'll show this place off another time. But let's hop through here and run ourselves down these ancient hallways. And down the more ancient hallways. And we finally get to another door. I'm going to take a moment to say, dear devs, passageways, there's a mod out there that does it. It was what I was trying to do with my modular colony mod before I gave up. have them with the ability to have a vent version and a light version and a corner version. And there's a mod that does it. I tried to do it with my colony mod before I went uber lazy, but you should be putting it into, friends. Anyway, ta-da, welcome to more beautiful stuff. This is just me basically showing off some of the tiny stuff you can do with these beautiful DLC items, which again, I do think the price makes it acceptable, even if it does hurt a little bit. Oh, and I'd like to point out, dear devs, I made a bathroom. Who the frack wants to use a toilet while staring at somebody else using a toilet? You should really put in like a curtain or something that as soon as you hop in it, hell, maybe even use a model swap, just so it would swap out the model to one that has a curtain pulled in the front area. Just anything, so you're not just staring at each other like this, and God knows it's way too annoying to try to put doors in, especially when most of your doors, like I said earlier, are center set. So you can't put them right up to it unless you want to use the big whole derpity-doo block, which is insane. Like, that's an insane overkill of a door for just one stall. Nonsense! Anyway, there you go. Fun restroom funds. More awesome, beautiful moddy stuff in here. I call it moddy because I'm so used to this being a mod. It does show what's expected from mods and not so much the base game. But I am happy to have it in the DLC slice of the game, if for nothing else, because now I can guarantee pretty much everyone's going to have it given the price range. Anyway, I think that's about it, guys. I don't think there's much more to show, just more of me faffing about and throwing this stuff together in slightly different ways to try to make slightly different and more interesting things, which you can do quite a few things with. That said, I do really wish they would go ahead and give us some thin wall pieces and stuff to actually make it all linked together a little tiny bit better and make it, yeah, just so I wouldn't have to be using these gray walls all the time or whole blocks like these interior blocks on the floor when of course that's not really needed. Anyway, guys and gals, that is going to be it. Thank you a bunch for watching. I'm going to end the video by flying around and crashing into something. Or will I? Or will I? I'll just end it with a vehicle. A little happy rover that I built that's just sitting out here. We'll drive it past all of our big light displays over here. Hello, big light displays. You're beautiful. Yep, that's it. Anyway, guys, I love this new cockpit. I do think this should be in the base game. The other stuff I'm alright with being DLC, especially because of the price. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Ta-ta. Wasn't even trying.